Welcome to G Fun Facts Online. Today we are walking into the quiet, dust-mote-filled corners of academic libraries and the sterile glow of laboratory monitors, where a silent war is being fought. It is not a war of guns or bombs, but of data, pixels, and the very definition of truth. For centuries, the scientific record was considered the closest humanity could get to an objective reality, a self-correcting monument to human knowledge, built brick by the world's most brilliant minds. But today, that monument is under siege. A shadow industry has risen, industrializing the production of falsehoods. Known as paper mills, these clandestine organizations churn out tens of thousands of fake scientific studies every year, selling them to desperate researchers willing to pay for the prestige of a published paper. They have infiltrated the most respected journals in the world, corrupted the peer review process, and now threaten to poison the well of human knowledge. This is the story of the crisis that is shaking the foundations of science and the small band of guardians, sleuths, data detectives, and whistleblowers who are fighting to save it. To understand this crisis, we have to start with the illusion of knowledge. It began with a suspicion in 2013. John Bohannon, a biologist and science journalist, decided to test a hypothesis that kept him awake at night. He suspected that the gatekeepers of science were asleep. He wrote a scientific paper, a seemingly mundane study about a molecule from a lichen inhibiting cancer cell growth. It looked, smelled, and sounded like real science. It had charts, graphs, and the dense, passive voice jargon typical of academic literature. But it was a lie. The paper was a Mad Libs-style fabrication, generated by a computer script he had written. The authors were fake, with names generated by shuffling African surnames and initials. The institutions were non-existent. The chemistry was fatally flawed, containing errors that any undergraduate biology student should have spotted immediately. Bohannon submitted this poisoned apple to 304 open-access journals around the world. The result was a bloodbath. More than half of the journals accepted the paper. 157 journals, many claiming to practice rigorous peer review, opened their doors to a study that was scientifically worthless. Acceptance letters poured in from India, China, Turkey, and even the United States. Editors requested bank transfer fees for publication, but asked zero questions about the fatal flaws in the data. The Bohannon sting was a wake-up call, a flash of lightning that illuminated a terrifying landscape. If a single journalist could trick 157 journals with a comically bad paper, what could a sophisticated criminal enterprise do? We didn't have to wait long to find out. This brings us to the rise of the factories. A paper mill is exactly what it sounds like, a factory for scientific papers. But instead of widgets or cars, they manufacture academic prestige. To understand why they exist, you must understand the pressure cooker of modern academia. In many countries, particularly China, Russia, India, and parts of the Middle East, a researcher's career survival depends on a simple, brutal metric, which is publication. Publish or perish is not just a saying, it is an economic reality. In China, for decades, hospitals required doctors to publish research papers to gain promotion, even if those doctors worked 80-hour weeks treating patients and had no time, funding, or interest in research. Cash bonuses for publishing in high-impact journals could equal a year's salary. Enter the entrepreneurs. Sensing a desperate market, shadow companies emerged. They set up slick websites, often disguised as editing services or translation agencies. Their menu of services, however, went far beyond fixing grammar. They offered a silver package, where they polish your existing data for $500. They offered a gold package, where they provide the data for you for $2,000. And for the elite, a platinum package, where they write the paper, create the figures, submit it to a journal, handle the peer review, and guarantee acceptance. You just provide your name and credit card, often for $10,000 or more. The scale of this industry is staggering. By 2022, the Committee on Publication Ethics and the STM Association estimated that 2% of all scientific submissions were fake. In some specific fields, like molecular biology and oncology, that number is believed to be much higher. A 2024 analysis suggested that up to 11,300 papers were retracted from a single publisher, Hindawi, after they were overrun by paper mills. These are not just a few bad apples. This is an industrial-scale pollution of the scientific record. So how do you fake a scientific paper? The methods range from the lazy to the diabolically genius. One of the most bizarre side effects of the paper mill crisis is the emergence of a new dialect known as tortured phrases. To avoid plagiarism detection software, paper mills often take legitimate abstracts and run them through automated translation tools or spinning software that replaces words with synonyms. The result is a surreal, uncanny valley language. For example, artificial intelligence becomes counterfeit consciousness, big data becomes colossal information, breast cancer becomes bosom peril, and a randomized controlled trial becomes a randomized global preliminary. In 2021, a team of computer scientists led by Guillaume Cabanac began hunting for these phrases. They found thousands of papers in respected journals discussing counterfeit consciousness. It was a smoking gun. No human scientist would ever use that term. It was the fingerprint of a machine, trying to hide a theft. Then there are the clone wars, involving Western blots. In the life sciences, the Western blot is a standard image used to show the presence of proteins. It looks like a series of fuzzy black bands on a gray background. To the untrained eye, they all look the same. Paper mills banked on this. For years, a single operation known as the tadpole paper mill, named for the distinct tadpole-like shape of their fake bands, recycled the same images across hundreds of unrelated papers. They would take a photo of a protein band from a study on liver cancer, flip it upside down, stretch it, and reuse it in a study on lung cancer. They created a library of stock images and pasted them into thousands of manuscripts like digital collages. Perhaps the most sophisticated scam is the guest editor heist, a Trojan horse attack on journals themselves. Scientific journals often publish special issues, which are collections of articles on a niche topic, like nanomaterials in dentistry or AI in green energy. These issues are managed by guest editors, external experts invited to curate the content. Paper mills realized this was a backdoor. They began impersonating real scientists. They would create a fake email address for a prominent researcher and send a proposal to a journal to host a special issue. Once the journal agreed, the fake professor, actually a paper mill operative in a basement in Moscow or Beijing, was given the keys to the castle. They could now accept dozens, sometimes hundreds, of papers for their special issue without any real peer review. They would fill the issue with papers from their paying clients. In one notorious case involving the publisher Taylor and Francis, a guest editor was found to be a complete phantom, an impersonation that led to the retraction of an entire issue. The publisher Hindawi was hit so hard by this tactic that its parent company, Wiley, had to pause all special issues and eventually retire the Hindawi brand entirely, at a cost of millions of dollars. Against this tidal wave of fraud stands a ragtag resistance known as the Guardians. They are not government agents or paid police. They are volunteers, scientists, librarians, and data geeks who spend their nights and weekends staring at PDFs, hunting for anomalies. If this story has a protagonist, it is Elisabeth Beek. A Dutch microbiologist with a PhD and a quiet demeanor, Beek possesses a superpower. She can spot duplicated images with the naked eye. It started as a hobby. One night in 2013, she was reading a paper that had plagiarized her own work. Curious, she looked at the other papers by the same authors. She noticed a pattern in the images, a repeated blot here, a reused cell photo there. She kept looking and looking. 10 years later, Beek has scanned over 100,000 papers. She has reported over 7,000 of them for image manipulation. She works from her home in California, scrolling through PDF after PDF, spotting the telltale signs of the tadpole mill or the stock photo mill. Her work is dangerous. She has been harassed, threatened with lawsuits by powerful professors, and trolled relentlessly online. One famous French professor, Didier Raoult, who promoted hydroxychloroquine for COVID-19, filed a legal complaint against her after she flagged concerns in his papers. Yet, she persists. She has said that science is about finding the truth, and if we don't clean up the literature, we are building our future on a foundation of lies. Beek is not alone. She is part of a loose collective of sleuths who congregate on a website called PubPeer. PubPeer is the WikiLeaks of science. It allows users to comment anonymously on published papers. While it was designed for post-publication discussion, it has become the command center for the anti-fraud resistance. Users with handles like Cheshire, SmutClyde, and TigerBB8 post their findings. They might point out that Figure 3a appears to be identical to Figure 2b in a completely different paper published 3 years ago. Or that the data points in a graph are mathematically impossible. Or that a text contains the phrase "Regal Investigation" instead of "Royal Commission," a suspected torture phrase. These volunteers use increasingly sophisticated tools. They have developed software to detect text overlap and image duplication. They maintain databases of known paper mill authors. They are the immune system of science, attacking the infection that the publishers failed to stop. Also critical to this fight are the Retraction Watchers. In New York, 2 journalists, Ivan Aransky and Adam Marcus, run a blog called Retraction Watch. Founded in 2010, it tracks when papers are pulled from the literature. Before Retraction Watch, retractions were hidden in the back pages of journals, often with vague notices like administrative error. Aransky and Marcus dragged them into the light. They forced publishers to be transparent about why papers were being retracted. Was it an honest mistake? Or was it fraud? Their database of retractions recently surpassed 50,000 entries and was acquired by Crossref, a major scholarly infrastructure organization, effectively making their work a permanent part of the scientific record. They turned the shame of retraction into a vital data point for integrity. But why does this matter? Who cares if a few academics pad their resumes with fake papers about obscure molecules? The answer is that bad science kills. Paper mills heavily target the biomedical sciences, such as cancer research, drug development, and genetics. These are fields where papers translate into treatments. Imagine a pharmaceutical company developing a new cancer drug. They start by searching the literature for promising targets. They find a paper produced by a mill claiming that molecule X kills liver cancer cells. They spend millions of dollars and years of research trying to develop a drug based on that finding. But molecule X does nothing. The data was made up, the money is wasted. The years are lost, and patients who might have been saved by a real drug are left waiting. Furthermore, science relies on trust. When you read a study, you assume the experiments actually happened. Paper mills break that social contract. This erosion of trust bleeds into the public sphere. We live in an era of vaccine skepticism, climate denial, and alternative facts. When the public hears that thousands of scientific papers are fake, they don't distinguish between a fraudulent paper mill study in a predatory journal and a rigorous climate report in Nature. They hear that scientists lie. The paper mill crisis provides ammunition to those who wish to discredit science entirely. It is a gift to conspiracy theorists. The sheer waste of resources is also astronomical. Publishers spend millions investigating fraud. Universities spend millions on legal fees. Funding agencies grant money to fraudsters. A single paper mill retraction can cost a publisher $10,000 to $20,000 in legal and administrative costs. Multiply that by 10,000 retractions, and you have a financial catastrophe for the publishing industry. As we look to the future, the battlefield is shifting. The old methods of copy-pasting images and using tortured phrases are becoming easier to detect. But the fraudsters are evolving. The arrival of ChatGPT and advanced generative AI is a nightmare scenario for research integrity. We face the threat of generative AI. I can now write flawless, jargon-heavy scientific text. No more tortured phrases. The English will be perfect. I can generate realistic datasets that pass statistical checks. And generative adversarial networks, or GANs, can create Western blots and microscopy images, pixel by pixel, that are unique. They will never be found by duplicate detection software because they aren't duplicates, they are original fakes. We are moving from the era of copy-paste to the era of deepfake science. But publishers are fighting back. The International Association of Scientific, Technical and Medical Publishers has launched the Integrity Hub. This is a cloud-based collaboration where major publishers like Elsevier, Wiley, and Springer Nature share data. They are building a fingerprint database of paper mills. They check for duplicate submissions. If a paper mill submits the same paper to 3 different journals simultaneously, the hub will flag it. They are using image scanning. They are integrating AI tools like ImageTwin and Proofig to scan every incoming manuscript for manipulated images. They also track submission patterns. Did 50 papers come from the same IP address in Shanghai on a Sunday night? If so, flag it. It is a technological arms race. The paper mills will use AI to generate fakes, and the publishers will use AI to detect them. The question is, who will have the better AI? In conclusion, we are entering a new era of vigilance. The era of blind trust in science is over. The guardians of truth, like Bick, Oransky, and the pub peer sleuths, have revealed a rot in the system that can no longer be ignored. The crisis of paper mills is a painful reckoning, but it is also a necessary one. It is forcing the scientific community to modernize, to verify, and to protect its most valuable asset, its integrity. The war is far from won. The mills are still churning, the money is still flowing, and the pressure to publish is as high as ever. But for the first time, the lights are on, the cockroaches are scrambling, and the guardians are watching. Science will survive this. But it will never be the same again. It will be harder, stricter, and more skeptical. And perhaps that is exactly what science should be. Thank you for listening to G Fun Facts Online.